Hi, this is Ben Ivey, the fulfillment artist, and in this video I'm going to teach you why people commit suicide and how you can help. So suicide is something that I've been incredibly fascinated by for a long time, and when you come to one of my seminars you'll understand a little bit more about why. But what I want you to understand is people commit suicides for lots of different reasons, and when I trained under Tony Robbins as a strategic intervention coach, one of the things that he was saying to help people get over really bad trauma where they're suicidal is that they need to be able to have something to live for that's bigger than them. Because when they're focusing on something that is above and beyond themselves, then they can move forward in a way where they're no longer thinking about the issue that they had. Right? So when I learned of Tony, I thought that this was brilliant. I can certainly see how it could help people. But I started to understand that, Tony's never lost someone, as he says, and he's obviously very good at turning people around. But what I wanted to see was a permanent change in people. Because often even the best people that are worked on, they may go back to those suicidal thoughts or still have that there. So how is it that you could remove it, and why is it that it occurs? So on my journey of starting to understand all these different patterns that people have when it comes to them wanting to take their own life, what I understood was there are hotlines, there are all these things that I wanted to find someone that really knew what they were doing. So I ended up getting on LinkedIn. I don't even know how I found this guy. His name was Matthew Duval, right? And he's been manning suicide hotlines for 3 decades, right? It's over 30 years. And he tried everything from like hypnotherapy, NLP, shaman stuff, like literally everything, like everything you can imagine. He has worked on, like pickpocketing, like basically any hacks of the brain. Like how is it the brain gets confused? Like how is it that we get in that state? Because for every pattern that we have in life, there has to be something that has occurred to cause it to be like that. Because when you're a baby, you aren't suddenly suicidal. Something's happened in your life to cause you to be a certain way. Okay, so when I started to speak to him and understand more of this, because he clears up suicide scenes, he's there, he understands everything. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to learn like the exact techniques to be able to really quickly remove it and help people move forward. So from spending like 4 hours, 5 hours with people on the phone, constantly calling him back over the years, he basically honed it down into getting these powerful techniques depending on the types of suicide people have. Okay? So in essence, if someone is suicidal and they're like suicidal now, they've got something in their past that is of an incredible emotional intensity. That's so bad that they feel that the only way to get away from it is to end their own life. That's basically because then they feel they're peaceful, they feel they're doing everyone a favor, and their mind's just in a certain way. So if you imagine on a scale of like 1 to 10, anything 8 and above, like in complete emotional intensity, is too much for someone to handle. So in essence, what you have to do is you have to be able to drop whatever it is that's holding them there down to allow them to then accept it and be able to move on. And this is a permanent shift, because what I found with Tony is that that's still there, but then he would just create another trauma that was so, like, we call it a trauma because it's incredibly even more emotionally intense to be able to do something. And as long as this emotion is bigger than this, to be able to help people or do something or create something bigger, then this would no longer reoccur. But as soon as that dropped, then that would still be there. So what I wanted to do was get rid of this entirely. So in essence, when people are feeling suicidal, it's generally speaking, there's these 3 types of patterns. Okay, so you've got one which is a trigger. So this trigger could be something like something's happened. It could be someone shouted at them or like some sort of really bad trigger within roughly 15 minutes. What happens is that trigger is something that emotional event, and that acts as a trigger. Okay, so there's different manipulations that you do in order to remove that from the unconscious. Another one is that they see something that constantly reminds them of something, right? So let's say they see a spider and something like horrendous happened, And whenever they see that, it's really, really intense, right? So we could call that a trigger, right? And previously this could be an event, and this is trigger. So when we see that trigger, right, instead we can remove the trigger and then it decreases. And another one, the last one, is where it's just an incredibly emotional like event that's happened over a period of time, where we've got some sort of emotion that we've experienced that's incredibly high. Then what happens is it's like basically a blanket method to be able to remove everything down. Right, so there's all these different types of techniques. But if you're watching this video and you're looking at how to help someone, right, there's a couple of different things. Like, you can be there for them and talk to them. And what often happens is people will say something to the person before they commit suicide or something goes wrong. So you need to look into, like, how can I give this person support right now? What is it that they need? And then get them to either call me, like I've got my website, message me and I will remove it, done, easy. Okay, or you can, support them in any way, shape or form. But the truth is you want to get it removed so then they can really move forward. So message me, message whoever, but I hope that whoever you're thinking about, or the person that you know, or any way, shape or form that you feel that you can support them, spend time with that person, because often when they say they don't need the time is when they need it most. So with that, I would say that I hope that no one that you know will ever leave this earth by their own doing, and I hope that you can help them to really move forward. I'll put the details of everything that I've spoken about below so you can check out some videos. It's really, really interesting. And yeah, I'll speak to you very soon.